You're welcome to today's episode on Infosynthesis, your regular news and current affairs program. I am Osondo Mbono. Today we will be looking at the return to civil rule in Rivers State. With me to discuss this topic today is Mr. Nnamdi Elekwachi.
Thank you for having me. It's nice to be here always. Good day, viewers.
Mr. Nnamdi,
Yeah.
Similar Footballer is back to the brick house after 6 months, 6 long months. Are you happy or excited about this new development in Rivers State?
Neither. I cannot be happy. I cannot be excited.
So, if you're not happy, what then do you think the Rivers people should be feeling at the moment?
Well, I'm not the one to control others' feelings and emotions, but I have to say that I am disappointed. Disappointed with our institutions of democracy. Disappointed that there seem to be elite conspiracy against the people, the common Nigerians, as it may have to do with Rivers State. I am not happy because this is embedded in history. But I think as we progress, and I will tell you how the history of emergency declaration or proclamation or even rule. Thank you.
Don't you think that if the federal government did not intervene, probably there will be more casualties?
Thank you so much. It may have been in the interest of Rivers people that the president intervened the way he did. Fine. But it is not in their interest, and it is not democratically allowed for the president to suspend the governor. So if we are talking about return to civil rule, that's an aberration. Civil rule should never have been obstructed in the first place. There ought to be no obstruction. There ought to be no obstruction whatsoever. It should have flowed seamlessly. Then emergency should have also happened without altering democratic institutions. So that's why I said I am not happy, and I cannot be excited with an anomaly, with something that is not founded or something that is not even contemplated in our constitution, which is the ground norm of the federation. And let me tell you this, you see, this is just a culture of silence by those who should intervene, especially other arms of government that are there to check the excesses of each other. Let me tell you this. In 1962, there was a political crisis or tension in the old Western region between our Awolowo and Akintola. The House of Assembly, the Western House of Assembly, suspended Akintola. But because Akintola was leaning to the center, as in going to the federal government, the federal government proclaimed emergency in that region and then reinstalled Akintola through Majek Odumi. Are you following the point? Reinstalled him through Majek Odumi. In 2004, Obasanjo proclaimed, then as a democratically elected president, he proclaimed emergency in Plateau State and removed an elected governor, Joshua Darie, and in his place installed Chris Ale, a retired military officer. I found the point. He was copying the script of 1962. He doubled. He doubled down. In 2006, he came to Ekiti State, removed Ayo Fayoshe, and in his place put someone known as retired General Olatunji Olurin, someone who led the Ecomog group those days. And now Tinubu has also done the same thing, removing a democratically elected governor, even suspending the House of Assembly. In other words, the two arms of government in Rivers State, legislature and the executive, were suspended. And then you want me to be happy? There is nothing to be happy about, because one, the president even went against his oath of office. He said in his oath of office, to even paraphrase, that I, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, do solemnly swear he will continue to protect and defend the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Part of that oath said that I shall not allow my interest to override national interest. So when you look at Rivers State, you see that Tinubu went against his oath of office, and to a large extent, he even committed an impeachable offense. But then, albeit, he has the kind of National Assembly he wants. So it continues. And that's why I said, I suspect conspiracy but from the elite, from the political elite.
You suspect conspiracy.
Yes.
You also did say you're not happy.
Yeah.
But I think yesterday, similar to football, I actually went to Astor Villa. And of course, I think he went to thank
The president, yes.
So you are not happy, but I think he
But I may be happy. It's not about him being happy. It's about what will happen next. Because this thing is now becoming a norm. We are normalizing this practice.
But
I'm coming. Don't forget that Goodluck Jonathan also declared emergency.
Yes.
In the BAY states, Borno,
yeah.
Adamawa, and Yobe, where you have threat to national security more than what you had in River State. You cannot say you are proclaiming emergency because of maybe, and I'm not trying to undermine this, because of maybe isolated cases of maybe bombing or attack to national assets. We are witnessing a situation where non-state actors could invent marketplaces, could even do anything and get off scot-free. Then Goodluck had to proclaim emergency. But in the intervening period, the emergency lasted. No governor was removed. But in this case, we are seeing Tinubu take us back to the Obasanjo style, which also borrowed from the Balewa style. You see how we are entrenching, how we are deepening something that shouldn't be there in the first place. So it's not about Fubara, who of course used to be a boy or the political godson of Wike before things fell apart. I show the point. It's not about him. It's about our institutions. It's about the future. It's about precedent. We can't say it is almost unprecedented. So if another president comes tomorrow and does the same thing, should we say it is unprecedented? No. And now, don't forget that the judiciary received over 40 appeals, both in River State, Bayelsa, even in Abuja. Over 40. No decision, not even one, to say this is wrong or this is right. Who interprets the law is the judiciary. Who makes the law? The legislature. The two arms of which sat and even achieved concurrence to say, yes, this thing should happen in River State.
But Namdi, some will of course argue that while the principal actors in those political offices were suspended, governance was not suspended. A retired vice admiral, Obot Abbas, was installed or deployed. Let me use the word deployed as the sole administrator. So in the intervening period of 6 months, governance still went ahead. I think even the National Assembly still went ahead too.
Governance went ahead.
Yeah, governance went ahead.
Governance went ahead.
A budget was also,
governance is not just about democracy. Governance could also be about autocracy. Governance could also be about puppets.
What I'm saying is that
governance went on. Governance went on.
Come to a halt.
The wheel of governance may actually continue.
Okay.
But then not being steered by the legitimate hands. The wheel of governance may continue to be in motion, but not being steered by legitimate hands. What happened in River State now, listen, was that yes, governance continued, but it was no longer continuing for the people who elected the government. I found the point. It was no longer continuation of government. What happened was just aberration. Now, you suspended an elected governor, even when the section of the constitution you relied upon to proclaim such suspension did not even contemplate the suspension itself. That is to say, you went extra to the provisions of the constitution, the same you swore to defend and protect. Now, the people who suffered are the citizens or indigenes of that state. For 6 months, someone who was not accountable, and 6 months, mind you, is 1/8 of the 4-year tenure given to Fubara. So almost that fraction, or almost that 1/8, had been exercised by someone not elected in a democracy. Yes, governance may continue, but don't forget also that the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, as amended, did not contemplate the position of a sole administrator.
But again, there are positives. I
want to learn the positives.
Was able to conduct a free and fair local government elections in River State, and was able to also deliver that on time. Don't you think that's also a positive?
Was he supposed to be the one to conduct that election? Now go to section of the go to I think section 7 of the 1999 Constitution. It talks about the states. The states here being the elected government conducting or ensuring the existence of the local governments, and also emphasizing that there must be democratically elected system across councils. Now, let me bring it back to you. You see, before that very election IBAS conducted, there was election 2. Now, see the conspiracy. During that very election, that the council election that happened across the 23 LGAs in River State, the police said we will not be guaranteeing the security. We will not be providing our service, which is security service provision. We will not be providing our service during this election. INEC said we will not be releasing the register of voters to RISIEC, River State Independent Electoral Commission. Are you understanding now? These are the institutions of government coming, working together against the people. What should be the people? Now, when the Supreme Court had actually said, in any state where there is no democratically elected local government system, telling the accountant general, do not transfer statutory allocation, for which 36 governors, River State included, went to the president and sought his understanding, following after which we had a 90-day moratorium, within which Fubara conducted election. But it was just about battle for structures, and that was why they had to do what? Bring down the structures at the grassroots level. Fubara had actually planted to say this election, as the Supreme Court now then ruled, is a nullity. They nullified the elections, and then Fubara now came.
They were unseen hands. They were working against Fubara.
It's not even unseen hands. I'm telling you what INEC did. INEC is not unseen. I didn't say unseen. I said visibly. INEC said we are not giving you register of voters. I found the point now.
Were they acting on instructions?
I can't establish that, but then it was systemic. Okay, because we understand that the war Fubara was fighting was with the federal government or someone in the federal government. I found the point. So, to a large extent, there are things the federal government ought to have guaranteed, put in place to make the elections in River State happen. But they too were found wanting in those areas, and that was why you had IBAS conduct the election that now gave back the same local government councils to Wike's allies, both in the APC and the PDP. Don't forget that Wike, in fact, the two parties, he had factions he was controlling, even in the APC. Now, of course, you know the Okota faction. We all are aware. So what happened was just trying to effectuate, trying to execute. In fact, as far as I'm concerned, IBAS did the hatchet job. The same way Tunji Olorun did in Ekiti State, retired general. The same way Chris Ale did in Plateau State, retired general, is the same way retired general, although Vice Admiral in the Navy, did in River State.
Wow. IBAS did a hatchet job.
He did the hatchet job.
6 months wasted. Do you think there should be a conversation around SIME and the state assembly members being able to recover the 6 months that they were suspended?
Yes, that is right now we are hearing about questioning or interrogating or inviting IBAS. But IBAS is saying, I'm not beholding, I'm not accountable, I'm not answerable
but
to you.
IBAS did not suspend them.
Yes, IBAS did not suspend them actually. But don't also forget that IBAS was even not from River State. The election we're even talking about, the person who chaired RISIEC is from outside River State. It's not from River State. So to a large extent, we saw external meddlesomeness in the whole thing. But the truth has to be told. Whether we like it or not, the 4-year tenure was given to Fubara. He could be a lackey, he could be a puppet or anything. 4-year tenure was given to him. After which he will explain everything. Now, as we speak in this studio here, 6 months of that period have been exercised by someone not elected. So that person owes the people explanation.
My question here is: do you think it would be right for Fubara to recover back the 6 months? Would there be an extension of his tenure to cover the 6 months?
If the court did not condemn his suspension, which was not even guaranteed in our constitution, I don't know the possibility of him getting redress or that justice. What I understand here is maybe a kind of tenure elongation, which will now put River State or add River State to the list of states with off-cycle elections, to make it 9 now, because we have 8 of such states.
Now, the Amehule-led State House of Assembly, just like you did mention, is calling for Ibas to come to, give account of his stewardship in the last 6 months. Do you think that they have such right?
Yes, they do, because that's part of their duty to exercise. In fact, the legislature does 3 things: 1, lawmaking; 2, oversight; 3, representation. In the interest of those they are representing, this money or this stewardship you're talking about is something held in trust on behalf of the people. So in the interest of those people, accountability and checks must be in place. Answers must be given to questions. Explanations must be done. Let me even say more. Fubara prepared a budget of 1.1 trillion naira, presented it to the Oko Jumbo-led faction of the House of Assembly. But the Supreme Court said, go and represent this same budget, not prepare another one. Go and represent this same budget to before the Amehula-led faction.
Yes.
The process was still ongoing when the president proclaimed emergency or declared emergency. What happened? The same president prepared another budget of 1.4 trillion naira, which Fubara had been spending from. Listen very well. Prepared a budget of 1.4 trillion naira and presented it before the National Assembly or the House of Reps, where you had a committee, ad hoc committee on River State emergency rule. They sat and said, okay, now there must be explanation. Why the 1.4 trillion naira? How much had been spent so far, including for the conduct of the election and then other things? Of course, we are hearing about non-payment of even security personnel attached to the man, as alleged. So questions must be asked, because whatever thing that is left undone must be inherited and explained by Fubara. So questions must be asked. I follow the point. But one thing is sure here: we may not see the political will to execute or to ask these questions. But then something happened in the intervening period. Ibas operated for almost 3 months without a budget. We should ask questions. Where did you get money? Did you operate through what is known as cash planning or cash rationing, where you say, let us peg and control inflows and outflows? But in this case, we must know. River State indigenes must know how he executed, how he steered the affairs of their state for 3 months, from March to about June, before the budget came. And then the next 3 months, when he spent from the budget, how much did he spend? How much did he realize? And then all of that. That is how to ensure that accountability is in place.
Okay, now that Simi is back, what are your expectations?
Well, my expectations are not much. 1, he must continue where he stopped, because unfortunately, in the 6 months he was not there, I'm not sure, I have not read anywhere that Ibas completed any projects, including those he began. Unfortunately enough, even as sad as it may be, even the House of Assembly complex that was destroyed, either in a fire inferno or bomb attack or whatever, he could not even build or complete or even deliver the project. So my expectation is that Fubara will now go back to work in the interest of those who for 6 months had not seen legitimate subnational government in their states. Go back to work, continue where you stop, and then also continue to do those within your power to ensure that accountability follows. Then go and see how you can reconcile with the House of Assembly to stop further crisis in the state, because as far as I'm concerned, it is an ill wind and it bodes ill for democracy in the state. Let me repeat again before I go. I say it was not bad for the president to proclaim emergency. The constitution guaranteed that, but it was bad in excess of that constitutional mandate to suspend an elected governor. The president has no such powers. Thank you.
Do you feel that going forward, Simi and his principal would have at least a more robust and cordial relationship going forward?
The principal here being Wike and not the people of River State. That's the political irony.
You just said that.
Yes, I know it was what you meant. Now, it is unfortunate. Fubara is back, and the near fire breathing man is no longer breathing fire the way he was, saying, "Don't worry, I will." Now he is back, and we know the conditions. We remember the 8-point resolution the president tabled before. We also remembered everything, the meetings both behind closed doors and the one they agreed to publicize. We now saw the suspension. Now he's back. He actually gone to thank the president, saying, without your intervention, there would have been political chaos or breakdown of law and order in the state. Thank you. I think the best thing for him now is to work to follow the path of peace. Peace here being that he must achieve understanding with the assembly, but then he must have it in his mind that his stewardship, his accountability, his service should be to the people of River State. But then all things being equal, I think Wike now has the kind of River State he wants. Tinubu also has the kind of River State he wants. Do not forget, 2027 is around the corner. There has never been a time, I remember, in the Fourth Republic, if not from the first, second, and third, where one party controlled Lagos and controlled River State. That is, in effect, to have the corporate wealth of the nation and then have the oil wealth of the nation as a largesse or war chest to execute election. That is what it is. In a country where people could mobilize billion vans in election of others or their political allies, what can they not mobilize in their own election? Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Mr. Namdele.
My pleasure always.
Absolutely. I want to definitely see your comments in the comment section. We've been discussing on the return to civil rule in River State.